Hey, thank you so much for checking the channel out. My name is Agabus. This is your financial education channel. We've got some big news coming out of China today. If you haven't been paying attention, there are some very odd, I wouldn't say odd or strange. I would say that there's some crazy things happening right now in the economy of China. We'll go through some of those quick here today, but also want to go through some recent news. Are they all correlated? Is there some sort of connection? You tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. But let's just get into it. So if you've been following the channel or following the news for a little while now, you know that there are some massive changes and challenges coming up through the China real estate market. Some of the largest companies, some of the largest developers, I should say, in China are dropping significantly when it comes to new home sales and the value of those companies. You can see here back in August, China stocks extend their losses, and Country Garden, one of the largest developers there, drops 17% to new record low. That was back in the middle of August. Continuing here, again from Axios, we've got China's dilemma in trying to manage their debt crisis. Not only is there an issue with the real estate market, but there's an issue with the actual sovereign debt that China has. And we focused on this article here not too long ago, but the Chinese wealth management firm is now not paying the debt back on some of their real estate investors. So when you start to put some of this together, people are starting to think and wonder, is the Chinese real estate market starting to collapse, or are there issues, cracks around the current system? But let's continue with some of the other concerns we got going on in China. But China also, this is coming out of the BBC, suspends youth unemployment data after record high. Again, just a few weeks ago here. Now, some could say that the only reason they would suspend the data is because the data is way worse than what it should be. I would be in that camp to suggest that. But if you start putting some of these data points together, this is not showing a good sign for the Chinese economy. One last article that we'll get to here before we get into the most recent news is that China's GDP, the exports, and the property crisis, everything is really now starting to cut on their forecast for their overall GDP outlook. What I want to focus today is on this news article that came out of nowhere. China preparing for war with the U.S., according to the Air Force Secretary. This is according to The Hill. Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall on Monday warned that China was building up its military presence to prepare for potential war with the U.S., and he said that America must optimize its forces to counter the rising threat. However, he continues to say that this kind of war we have no modern-day experience with. But he did stress a little bit of optimism that war is not inevitable. So, positive, negative, not a fan of the war we have no modern day experience with. Kendall continued, our job is to deter that war and to be ready to win if the war occurs. We're all talking about the fact that the Air Force and Space Forces must change, and we could fail to prevent and might even lose a war to China. Scary times. Kendall continued to say that we need to be prepared for war because China is developing its forces at a rapid pace in creating two new military branches. One is a force designed to counter aircraft carriers, airfields, and other critical assets, and a strategic support service that works to achieve information dominance in the space and cyber domains. China's been re-optimizing its forces for great power competition and to prevail against the U.S. in the Western Pacific for the last 20 years. He says they've been building up a military capability specifically designed to achieve the goals and to do so if opposed by the U.S. The Hill says that U.S. and China relations have reached a new low point and rising tensions over the self-governing island of Taiwan, which Beijing sees as historically part of the mainland. I've got another story here we'll cover in just a second regarding that. The U.S. has warned that the Chinese president may seize the island by force if necessary, and that President Biden has repeatedly said the U.S. would send troops to help defend the island in such a scenario. The secretary continues and says that the U.S. military and Pentagon officials are warning of a potential war with China within the decade. And he says the war that we need to be ready for is not the type of conflict we have been focused on for many years. Not good signs. But continuing here, AP World News continues to say that Taiwan says China is bolstering its coastline military bases facing the self-ruled island. This is September 12th. This week, China is continuously bolstering its military bases along the coastline facing Taiwan, the self-ruled island's defense minister said in a report Tuesday, as Beijing steps up military activities around the territory it claims as its own. Taiwan said it will continue to monitor the Chinese activities around the island and bolster its defenses in response. The defense ministry said it has spotted 22 Chinese warplanes and 20 warships near the island in the last 24 hours, part of a military harassment by Beijing. A major general from Taiwan had said that the information we received is that all important military bases along the coast are being continuously updated. The major general pointed that 3 military airfields in China's southeastern Fujian province that have recently been expanded. The closest one to Taiwan is only 135 miles from the capital. The latest dispatch of Chinese warships and warplanes came after the U.S. and Canada sailed warships through the Taiwan Strait in a challenge to Beijing's territorial claims. Oh boy. The article concludes that 13 of the Chinese military aircraft reported on Tuesday had crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait, which is an unofficial demarcation zone between China and Taiwan, according to Taiwan's defense ministry. This summer, from July to September this year, was the peak period for the Chinese Communist Party's exercises, noting an increase in China's naval activities in the waters surrounding the Taiwan Strait. Are all of these data points, again, all correlated, all connected? You tell me in the comment section below. Want to make sure to continue bringing the news that you may have missed from this week. If you like what you see, please hit the like button below and watch another video. We'll come back tomorrow to bring you some more cutting-edge news. So stay tuned, stay inquisitive, stay subscribed. We'll see you tomorrow.